And then it also all came out, things that everybody knew back in the day, but I can quote it because Salemi talked about it in front of Congress. The reason that Rico hated the McLaughlins were that back in the day, there were rumors, if you will, that J. Edgar Hoover was gay, and even though a picture came out of him years later, but this is all on tape, when they'd be talking on the telephone, and when they knew the feds were listening to them, and they'd say, hey, things like, I hear Rico's going down to Washington this weekend to dance with Hoover, and of course Rico knew all this and he hated him. So this is documented. He set up Georgie's brother Eddie to get whacked. He went in and got a pistol from Salemi and Flemmy, a throwaway pistol, which for you people that don't know is a pistol that can't be traced to anybody, and said, if I catch up to Georgie, I'm going to whack him. And then, of course, he has his stool pigeons go threaten the lawyer and the witnesses. Well, Georgie's still in, and he's doing 45 years. He's got 45 years, and now he's doing life, of course. He went to death row, by the way. He was on death row with all those guys there, and if they had the death penalty, he'd have been fried years ago.
Right.
But the bottom line is, he doesn't have Dan Ray, and there are no real investigative reporters out there right now. That's what he needs.
Yeah, he doesn't have anybody to help him.
No, well, the guy's in his 80s and he's 40, you know, they figure, you know, he'll die and they can bury the truth with him.
Right.
But it's
They
all
don't
true.
have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to
ahead.
say one thing about, I was looking at something else. And it's gone.
I want to make sure. Okay, again, and this is an interesting book. This is really an interesting book about the ins and outs of the system and what happens to somebody. Okay, and of course I always believe far more that because I know Delahunt and I know what was going on at the time. You were part of our stuff that was going on and organizing prisoners. We were not organizing people in a violent way. We were trying to turn prisons into a workable situation that that you train people, that you develop jobs, and you do education and everything else like that. Through these times, and of course, yourself and others that got caught up in that tried to turn Walpole upside down, got a reputation that they'd like to put you away and not spread that stuff across the nation. I mean, there's more to, I believe, what Stevie's talking about, and many of you know I've had Bobby on, Bobby DeLullo, and I've had others that back in the late 60s and through the 70s and then into the 80s worked to change the inner structure of prisons. When you do that, okay, for those of you who are out in the prison, you run a risk. However, it's a...
Of course.
And we leave people behind, but you did it. You tried to change the inside of the prison for a lot of people, and you still are in contact with many people that are in there unjustly, and some justly. I have friends in there that you know they're there, but the situations are such that these are the things that happen, and these are the reasons why some of us get set up, and
no question.
you know, and that's the reality of the situation. The problem is when it comes to the death penalty, to be framed, to have a system so hard to work against when people are innocent of crimes. This is where the use of the death penalty shouldn't be used until there's some way that we could ever figure this out, so it would be a system that every opportunity would be given to a person. You know?
I would like to say one thing. You're talking about, as you say, you're back and forth on the death penalty.
Absolutely, yeah. I can understand. I can understand, Dr. Pettit, that you know, the family that here in Connecticut that went in there and the heinous crime that happened there. I can understand his desire for revenge.
And one of the other main arguments for the death penalty is that the fear of the death penalty would stop people from committing murders. And from what I've read statistically, that is not true. But that is one of the arguments.
That is
I mean, I can understand why they believe that.
That's
But
Governor Rells that.
I also have a theory, and I'm not with you on it, but I will say that there is one group of lawbreakers that should be given the death penalty. I do believe that. Only, of course, in states that have the death penalty. I truly believe that any members of the alleged justice system, whether it be DAs, cops, judges, professed expert witnesses, whoever, who are caught trying to frame someone for a crime which could get them the death penalty, I believe those people should be sentenced to die. If you're going to use the system, well, like I say, that, you know, the argument about it may stop people from committing murders, well, it may stop people from framing people. If you make it a mandatory death sentence to try to use our system, our alleged justice system, those are the people who should be executed.
Wow.
District attorneys, cops, judges, experts who testify. I mean, look at that kid, Stevie Collins. They got him. He's on there, too. I got him listed down here. He might be right here. Yeah. Nope, that's gone. I got Stevie Collins' paper in there someplace else. But he's a kid they got for, they only got him for shooting a cop. He got 30 to 45 years. But they had his fingerprints, and they had, the cop said that's definitely him, and they had other witnesses. Well, then it turned out, a couple years down the road, DNA said, no, it's not him. And the prosecutor said, well, even if DNA says it, we've got other evidence, we've got his fingerprints. And then when they went into it, it turns out they had used phony fingerprints. So if you have a system that's going to use phony fingerprints, that's going to do things like they did to Reisfelder, and knowing that you're innocent still go for the death penalty, if you have that kind of a system, I believe the only people that should be given the death penalty are the people that are using the system to kill people. It can't get much more premeditated than that.
Well, you get it. I don't. You know, we have. It's interesting because I have different things on the issue of death penalty. In Arizona, Jean Milkey, she's the Arizona. She's been there for nearly 20 years. Okay, she's somehow they said that she waived her rights and did a confession. And the United States Court of Appeals found out that she never signed a waiver to waive her rights. Okay, so she spent 20 years, okay, to have before her case could be even turned over, that wrongfully convicted, never given her rights, and was threatened and intimidated, okay, over the death of her child. Okay, Ronald Kitchen. In 2000, 43-year-old Ronald Kitchen confessed under extreme physical duress to taking part in 5 murders 20 years ago, was exonerated and freed from prison. The confession had been extracted by a detective who worked under, I'm not going to name their names or who these people were, but exonerated. The guy was beaten half to, you know.
It happens all the time.
And all the time. Well, people don't believe these things happen all the time. Kevin Keith, Ohio, the Ohio Innocent Project says Kevin Keith did not kill 3 people, including his 7-year-old girl, wound 3 others. The group, which has asked Ohio Supreme Court to consider Keith's claim of innocence, generally steer clear of death penalty cases because inmates already have attorneys, but they have found so many witnesses that he wasn't there that they sought to bring him down, you know, to get him off there. They did the investigations themselves, a group. Okay, it's unbelievable, and I have. Well, I got when I do my research, I got pages of people, DNA that they that exonerated the.
A big problem in our system right now, which apparently only is a big problem for people that are on death row, is processing DNA.
Right.
I've noticed in some of these crimes, like the Pettit crimes and other crimes, DNA gets processed almost immediately when you have a white-collar Anglo-Saxon Protestant victim or family, or, you know, it depends on the
It depends on where you are, the
status
profile
of the case.
And what neighborhood you're in.
And who it's going to help.
Right, exactly.